Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another Star Wars Squadrons news update. We have a pilot briefing, which is similar to a community transmission from Battlefront 2 for our Starfighters. So this did just get posted out by EA Star Wars and also by a couple of the developers. So we're going to take a read through and see what new information they have for us today, including ultimate abilities for our Starfighters and a few other details as well. So I'm really excited to jump into this one because this is the first bit of information we've had in a little while on Star Wars Squadrons. So with this said, if you guys are here and you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And for those of you that don't have notifications turned on, make sure you turn those notifications on so that you can be updated every time something new comes out for Star Wars gaming. Anyways, getting straight into it, they start off by saying, welcome back pilots. It's great to see the discussions you've all been having about Squadrons in the wake of the gameplay reveal. The team has been thrilled by the reception so far and we can't wait for you to strap in at launch. Today we wanted to get into the heart of this game, the Starfighters and their core functions. You'll have 8 Starfighters at your disposal. Now this information we already knew. Now it says while each of these Starfighters have their own unique handling and functionality, there are some base features that they all share. Every ship has primary weapons, countermeasures, a hull outfitting, engines, and 2 auxiliary abilities such as missiles or repair droids. Though some Starfighters also have shields, the benefit of this system is that if you know how to pilot one Starfighter, you know how to pilot them all, as they all share the same basic controls too. Through these functions, players will be able to balance their power systems to face any confrontation. Now, the subsection here going into the next part is called power management. It says that one of the core features in Squadrons is the power management system that allows you to divert power to a particular subsystem, engines, lasers, or shields. For the most part, having balanced power will get the job done, but there'll likely be time where you want to prioritize one system in particular. Raising the power diverted to one system will increase its efficiency, while lowering it will do the opposite. Having one of these 3 systems at max power though will give your ship an otherwise unique ability that it can't regularly perform. Players will have the option to choose between a basic simplified power management system and a more advanced one that allows them to more precisely control how much power goes into each subsystem. So guys, there's a little bit of new information right there that we didn't know before, which is that if you overdrive or put all your power into one system, you're going to get a boost in that section and get sort of like a special unique ability that you can use during the game. Now it says that diverting power to your engines increases your top speed, but if you have your engine power maxed out, you'll be able to charge up and use a very powerful speed boost, not unlike what Poe Dameron used in The Last Jedi or the X-Wing pilot used in the reveal trailer for Squadrons. So you guys will remember that scene. He absolutely overdrives his engines and it launches him forward, and you can use that ability in Battlefront 2 Starfighter Assault Mode 2. So if you guys are fans of that, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. It goes on to say, meanwhile, if you focus on diverting power to your lasers, they'll recharge much faster. Should your weapon be at max, you'll automatically begin to overcharge your lasers, making them much more powerful before reverting to normal cannon fire. This also means you'll have up to double the laser output available, since you'll first use the overcharge and then use regular laser fire. Just like the speed boost, they'll continuously charge back up and then overcharge while not being used. This is great for attacking an enemy capital ship's subsystems or one of the cruisers that try getting in your way. Creative Director's note says, or just melting an enemy starfighter, which I think is cool that they're adding a little bit of personality into these pilot briefings. It says that for the New Republic ships and the TIE Reaper, diverting power to shields allows them to recharge faster. If your shield strength is maxed out though, you'll charge up over shields up to 200% of shielding. That's going to make you very tanky and very hard to take out. This is for both the front and back of your Starfighter, which is a lot of extra protection and useful when getting near turbo lasers. Shields can also be focused on the front or back of the Starfighter at any time, but without an overshield, that requires a trade-off, having up to 200% shields on one side, but none on the other. This is good for when you're rushing towards a flagship or being chased by an enemy. So guys, there's a few different ways for you to be able to use these abilities, which is really cool. I like that they have one for sort of each subsystem, and it also does say that for Starfighters that don't have shields, however, there is another option. Rather than being able to focus shielding to the front or the back of your Starfighter, you can instead use a power converter to rapidly divert all power from one part of the ship to another. For example, lasers to engines or engines to lasers. This is an effective response to an emergency situation where you need an immediate laser overcharge but are willing to have barely functional engines or an instant speed boost with little to no offensive capabilities. So this is really good if you can overcharge your offensive abilities, or you can overcharge your engines to escape out of a bad situation. This is going to be really fun, and I think people that get the hang of this and master this ability are going to be very hard to take out in this game. Moving on, it says, however, constantly having one of your Starfighter's power systems maxed out isn't always wise. If your lasers are at full power, you'll likely be moving slower and and or have weaker shields. You'll want to manage your power balance regularly to fit the situations that you're in so that you can stay in the fight longer. At any time, you'll be able to rebalance your ship's power to an evenly distributed state with a single button press though, so it's easy to recalibrate in the heat of battle. Now I really like that feature, guys. No matter what you do or what you change, you can always revert back to sort of a standard recalibrated settings by one press of a button. And I don't know which button that's going to be. Obviously it's going to be different per platform, but it's really nice to see that being added to make it easy for everyone. It says beyond that, hull integrity or ship health will also be something you'll need to monitor. Your ship's health will not automatically regenerate, unlike shields, and as your hull integrity drops from 100 towards 0, your ship will visibly become more damaged. However, there are ways to repair. Astromechs and repair systems are components that can restore some of your ship's health. Additionally, returning to the hangar in a flagship will also fully repair your starfighter, and of course support ships are also excellent at helping allies stay in the fight by restoring their hulls. There's going to be more on them in just a minute. You'll also want to know how to resupply, as some components have limited ammo. Support starfighters can certainly help here and will be the best way to resupply on the go, but you can also fly under an allied cruiser or into the capital ship's hangar to restock your munitions too. Regular lasers and weapons don't require ammo and simply recharge time, but countermeasures, torpedoes, mines, and other components have limited ammo. There are also some components like astromechs that recharge over time. So that's pretty cool, guys. You can pretty much return to your capital ship to restore health, or hull integrity, which is what they're actually calling it now. And you can also go and get more torpedoes, you can get your astromech back to full, and you can get a whole bunch of other things as well by returning back to base, essentially, which is really cool. I like the idea of that. Escape from the battle real quick, get a recharge in, and then get straight back in there. It says in total there are 4 Starfighter classes: fighters, bombers, interceptors, and support ships, which we did know. Between the two factions, each class of ship is relatively balanced compared to its counterpart. The only major difference is that the 4 New Republic Starfighters plus the TIE Reaper have shields, while the other 3 TIEs do not. To compensate for this, these 3 TIEs have slightly higher speed, agility, and offensive capabilities, and can also divert emergency power into either engines or lasers for a brief power surge, as mentioned before. The fighter class ships are some of the most balanced ships. They're good at dogfighting, quite agile, and can take a hit, making them exceptionally flexible starfighters that can adapt to any situation. Though they typically won't excel in any one specific area like the other starfighters, they're great as an all-purpose playstyle, and the iconic X-Wing and TIE Fighter will make up this class. The Interceptor class are uniquely tailored for dogfighting. These ships have very high speed and lasers to match, but they're glass cannons too. They dish out a lot more damage than they can take, making them well suited for a hit and fade attack or picking off enemy ships. The beloved A-Wing and TIE Interceptors are included in this class. Next up is the Bomber class, which the Starfighters will live up to their name. These ships, though slower moving, can take a lot of damage and deal out even more. You'll want these in your squadrons when it's time to do a bombing run on the enemy capital ship and their accompanying cruisers. But don't underestimate them in a dogfight either. While they aren't as nimble or agile as other Starfighters, they can reliably hold down their own in a fight and can take down an enemy ship faster than most others. This makes them ideal for frontline fighters, and the hardy Y-Wing and TIE Bomber are part of this class. Now, last but certainly not least are the support class starfighters. These ships are dedicated to keeping their allies in the fight by resupplying and repairing them, but they are also uniquely suited for building out defensive and offensive capabilities. They have the ability to use tractor beams to stop or slow enemies, drop mines to entrap and take out foes, and deploy turrets on the go to bring some additional firepower to a location, changing the way both squadrons fight and fly. Though they're less agile than other starfighters and don't usually deal as much damage, they're great at disabling enemy ships while helping their squadron, making them excellent to have on your wings for any engagement. The reliable U-Wing and TIE Reaper are the 2 ships in this class. It then goes on to say bring them to life. Finally, let's talk a bit about the iconic starfighters themselves. Recreating them as authentically as possible was a labor of love for the team, but so was finding a way to balance gameplay and design, and here's what the creative director had to say on that. He says, a big part of our work in bringing these starfighters to life has been the creation of cockpits. They're challenging because they're trying to look as realistic as possible while matching the aesthetic from the films and incorporating the necessary gameplay information as naturally as possible. How do we convey the state of your shield or the status of your target, for instance, in a way that feels like it belongs in the Star Wars galaxy? This means that when we want to communicate the charge level of your lasers in an X-Wing, we design the cockpit instruments for that as if we were Industrial Light and Magic, building the prop in the 70s. We don't say put a red light there, we say if you needed to physically build this using the sort of parts that ILM had, how would we build it? Is that a light bulb, an LED? How would it be integrated into the dashboard, and how would its lights interact with everything around it? We ensure the screens are CRTs with appropriately curved monitors, and so forth. We also try to come at it from a purely fictional angle, pretending they're employees of Incom or Sienna Fleet Systems, and then asking how would we build this. This was particularly the case with the TIEs, where there was no existing canonical guide when we started development as to how exactly those ships are piloted, which meant we needed to figure out the way things like to control yoke actually worked in a very practical sense. This was a ton of fun because it meant working with the team at Lucasfilm, animators and mocap actors to land on an approach that fit with what we saw in the films. But it is believable in terms of how a real pilot would need to operate the controls to pull off complex maneuvers. He also said we actually built cockpits for our actors when performing the motion capture. So that's a really cool feature too. They've actually used mocap on the actual reaction from those people inside the cockpit. Finally, he says one related thing worth a mention here is when you start a new game of Squadrons or later in the options menu, you can set the game to instruments only mode. If you do, it turns off all the in-world UI elements for highlighting objectives and so forth, so you can become almost 100% reliant on your cockpit instruments. This definitely makes the game harder, so toggle it on with caution, but if you want to jack the immersion level to a max, it's pretty darn cool. The article then says he's not joking either, it's tough. Still, we have no doubts that some of you are going to master the diegetic dashboard, meaning most of the HUD is built into your cockpit. And if you want to get even deeper into the immersive experience, try a VR headset and wielding a trusty Hotas setup if you're on an applicable platform. This now concludes the pilot briefing, but there's more to come. If there's anything you really want us to go into, be sure to let us know too. As always, you can check out the other pages. So guys, lots of cool information, a little bit of background behind the game development there, as well as what we can expect from these sort of unique special abilities that each Starfighter class is going to have. Now, one thing worth mentioning at the end there is that Hotas setup will be available for this game. A lot of people were concerned that it might not be, but it is now confirmed to be ready to go. Anyways guys, with all that said, there will be more updates on Squadrons very soon, so make sure you guys have notifications turned on for the channel. And if you are brand new, again, like I said, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and drop a like if you're excited for Star Wars Squadrons. Anyways, with all that said, I am going to get out of here. I will see you all in the next one. May the Force be with you always.
The Sith are all powerful.